This is One Sentence News, a daily podcast featuring 3 news stories with a sentence-long summary and 1 sentence of context apiece. I'm Colin Wright. This is a sponsored message. I've been using Anchor as my podcast host for a while now, and it's been a pleasure to use. Anchor offers benefits that most other hosts do not. It's free to use, but it also has a collection of tools that allow you to create a podcast completely within the Anchor website or smartphone app. They distribute your show to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the other distribution channels without any additional effort on your part, and you can make money from your podcast without any minimum audience size. So you can use it as a more traditional podcast host like I do, but it's also got everything you need to start a podcast from scratch. If you're keen to give it a shot, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. It's Thursday, March 2nd, 2023. Let's talk about the news. From the Associated Press, Nigeria's Bola Tinubu declared winner of presidential vote. Nigerian election officials have declared Bola Tinubu, a former governor of Lagos State and a member of the incumbent ruling party, the winner of the country's presidential election. Tinubu received 37% of the total ballots cast, which will make him the first president to take office without winning at least 50% of the vote if he is seated as planned, though the main opposition candidate, who took 29% of the vote, has indicated that he will challenge the results and organize protests, which is an unwelcome possibility for many locals, as previous election results have been met with deadly violence and a lot of property destruction across the country. From Reuters, Greek train crash kills at least 38 people, many of them likely students. Officials are blaming human error for a train collision in Greece that has killed at least 38 people and injured at least 66, and which has led to the resignation of a government minister and the arrest of a station manager. The collision was between a high-speed passenger train and a cargo train that somehow ended up going opposite directions on the same rail, despite it being a 2-rail system. And though there are still a lot of unknowns at this point, it's expected that there will be many more confirmed deaths in the coming days, and that a lot of those killed will be students who were returning home after a long holiday weekend. And from BBC News, FBI Chief Christopher Wray says China lab leak most likely. A day after the U.S. ambassador to China called on the Chinese government to be more honest about COVID-19's origins, and just a few days after the U.S. Energy Department said it had determined with low confidence that the COVID pandemic was most likely the result of a lab leak in Wuhan, China, the director of the FBI, Christopher Wray, said that the Bureau believes the same as the Energy Department, that COVID probably originated in a Chinese government-controlled lab. To be clear, the official position of the U.S. government is that we don't know where and how COVID originated, and while 2 U.S. agencies have now said they believe the lab leak theory, for which there is little publicly available evidence, though there is presumably evidence the public hasn't seen yet, if they are making these sorts of statements. 4 agencies have said they believe COVID originated in nature and then spread from a Chinese wet market, probably having evolved in bats, before making the leap to humans. The Chinese government has given international investigators little access to sites they've wanted to check out while looking into the origins of COVID, and the Chinese government has been uniformly pissed at anyone who raises the possibility of the pandemic having been the result of mishandling or something even more malicious on their part, which is perhaps understandable, as that's a pretty big accusation, and again, we have little or no publicly known reason to believe that is the case at this point, despite it not being impossible, and despite such things having happened at similar labs in the past. If you're finding some value in One Sentence News, consider leaving a quick review wherever you get your podcasts and or sharing the show with a friend. You can find out more about this show or subscribe to the email version at onesentencenews.com, and you can support this and other related projects, like the Let's Know Things and Brain Lenses podcasts, at understandery.com.